Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Friday the 19th, the end of the week. I was going to do fan mail Friday, but we didn't get any fan mail, so we'll have to do that next Friday. All right. Thanks so much for all your comments and stuff, on the Toolbox reorganizational videos. I'm having a blast with them, and I'm learning a lot too. And hopefully you're getting something out of it. Because it's one of the reasons I started the channel is it's not just to teach somebody. It's to also understand that it's okay to have a good time. And a lot of times we focus so much on the task at hand that we don't enjoy what we're doing, right? But that's how I approach things is I could take a task that is daunting and make it into fun if I want to. And I know you can too. And I'll tell you, life is a lot easier if you can make things fun than a pain in the backside. So stay with us. So welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, if you didn't know. Uh, Normally we have what I call teachable moments is what I try to focus on for episodes and the videos and stuff. And what I've been working on right now, if this is the first time that you've seen us, of course, is reorganizing one of my toolboxes in the shop and making it more functionality than anything. Anything that you do, you should make it so that it functions well, okay? Like a well-oiled machine. And you'll hear me on my videos that I talk about how to work on stuff. A seamless pattern. You set up with, you check the compression, you check the fire, you check the fuel. You have a seamless progression of what you need to do first and what comes later on. Now, if you don't check the compression and you think it's a fuel issue, you take the carburetor all apart and you kit it, replace it, what have you, and that doesn't fix it, so then you think it's a spark plug, then you think it's... But had you done compression first and found out that maybe it was only running at 50, 60 pounds of compression, that probably would have been very helpful because you wouldn't have had that time and money into tools, right? Or into parts, rather. Same thing goes with your tools. That you need to know where the right tool is when you need it. And when I'm talking tools, what you're going to find out, because I think I'm going to do that Monday, is specialty tools, what we have and what's out there and available. And if we don't have it, why don't we have it? Because the big thing with specialty tools is how often do you use it, right? I bought stuff for projects that were used once and they've sat on a shelf somewhere ever since. Cost effective? Not really for only one job, but if you figure it into that one job, it didn't cost you anything, it's there, right? So the next question is, why am I doing it, reorganizing all my tools and everything? And you probably didn't realize this, but I do work on stuff. And I've always tried to use the little bench that is behind where I normally sit during the day when I'm working on bills or billing or, invoicing or what have you. And the bench isn't very wide. And I have my string trimmers. I'll have the head on the ground with the motor up here where I'm trying to work on it out of my toolbox. And when I started doing videos, doing YouTube, I found that I needed to do it a different way because it wasn't working for me. Trying to get the camera angle, and I'm still learning all that as well. But I had mentioned to Claude about, my son had given us this rolling tool box, he called it. It's actually a rolling chest, And I was telling him that seems to be pretty handy when I'm working on some of the smaller stuff. But now I'm having to do a lot of walking to get that toolbox, and I'd like to move that toolbox out there. So we ended up, between him and I, we got the toolbox out between us. But it's kind of like that elephant in the room. It's where it was. It's right in front of where customers are trying to talk to us. And if a customer comes in and wants to talk to both of us, Claude a lot of times will stand in front of his computer, I'm by my computer, and we're having a three-way conversation. Well, that toolbox, you're constantly trying to look around it to talk to the customer. And there's different bugs going around up here. Probably the same thing is going on in your area, but we're having the high winds, no power in the 40s, dropping into the 20s, and then going back up, and then dropping back down and dumping a foot of snow. And now we're below zero temperatures outside. So it limits us on what projects we can work on anyways. And the other project we're going to work on is kind of getting that area out there where Claude is cleaned up, organized, and the stuff that's in our way out there that he's tripping over, that, old outboard motors and this and that, we're going to take out and put them in storage. But he and I have both been sick, and it's right in our chests and stuff. And for me, it's Alka-Seltzer Plus, and for him, it's some green tablet that he takes. Well, we're talking about tools, and Jason had mentioned how terrible mine looked, so that gave me a instant thought of a video. So I told Claude, I said, look, we don't have anything pressing out to the shop. We can't work on the two projects, that are outside the shop because it's outside, in the weather. And we're sick enough now. I don't want to get us any sicker. What do you think about just taking the rest of the week and getting a workspace set up for me, what works for me, and having your input on how we should do it. So we both have had a blast with it. Like Jason said, probably Claude was cussing him underneath his breath sometimes. But I know he's had fun so far too, and we're going to finish it up today because next week we have to get back on the ball because it's going to be back up right around 38, so I can get the sprockets on the Mini, get that job finished up. We have to start burning brush piles. I got to take the final drive off from my big excavator and take that to Syracuse, swap that out for a new final drive, but they want the old one for a core. Not much good. We pretty well tore that puppy to crap. So that's what we've been doing. We've been working on it. And later today, I will have a video out that I did yesterday. I didn't have time because I had people here looking at the property. A nice father and son from Ukraine. And I didn't ask them how they ended up being transplanted here, but the father didn't speak hardly any English. But the son, Mark, was kind of our interpreter. And he's 65. He likes working on stuff, and he likes to teach his son, Mark, how to fix stuff versus paying somebody else to have it fixed. But what I can tell you is that he fell in love with the property, and he wanted to put money down on it last night. And I told him, this is what I tell people when you're looking at stuff, especially big ticket items, but really anything. You never impulse buy. Why is that? Because the tendency to regret what you bought seems to be a higher percentage down the road. And I hardly ever impulse buy, okay? And you can say, well, what about if you're at an auction and you spot something you want? Most times at auctions, I've already researched what they have. I already have an idea in mind what it is I'm interested in and what my top dollar is. And I won't go above it. And probably Amos is the same way. I will not pay full retail for anything. When I'm buying something, I'm buying it so that I can take, and if I need the money, I can flip it and get out of it, at least break even, right? But most often I make money on it. So that's what I told them is, think on it for a few days. I know that they're going to have more questions for me today. I've got 2 couples coming tomorrow to look at the property next door that I own that's up for sale. And that's a building lot with a drill well on it. It used to be a trailer there years ago, and they end up taking the trailer out for whatever reason, and it's been just a bare lot ever since. And I bought it with the idea that I would buy the land that was in behind it and square it up. That's how I buy land, is I try to buy out my neighbors. That way you don't have as many problems. But the guy that owns the land, the guy that owns the land in behind me is a really great. He's my son's age, 40, but he and his father are great. So we'll see how that goes. I don't count on anything, when it comes to thinking that it's sold or not sold, or because I've had a lot of people just like Inuit, that's the dad's name, make an offer and then think about it and then not follow through, because he said he could give me the $20,000 last night and then he would go to the bank for the remainder. But as I explained to him, think about it. If you have any questions, shoot me soon. I'll answer it the best that I can. And if you're still interested in a day or two, Monday, go to the bank. I can get you all the paperwork you're going to need, and we'll get her done. But like I explained to him, because he's looking around all the parts and the tractors outside, and he want to know, did that go with it? I said, for another 50, 60 grand, you might be able to buy some of the, just part of the inventory I have here, I'd hate to think of what I have actually in inventory that doesn't owe me a cent. The tractors he was looking at, 5 of them are customers that are all done, that they live in another state, and they're supposed to be up around Christmas to pay for it and take care of them, but here they still sit. So yesterday we end up hanging up the LED lighting, and I'm going to check into what Amos was saying about how you can take the old style and, convert them. Because if I can do that, that might save me a few bucks. But the 2 lights that you see that are over my workbench are ones that Claude had bought for we call it the tent building. But he bought one of those building is made of canvas type, and he parks his vet in there in the wintertime, as well as his lawnmower and stuff like that. And he's got strings of LED lighting all the way around. And the neat thing about those, well, first of all, he said they were inexpensive, but the other is that they can plug into a series and keep going. But the ones that he brought down were ones that he originally bought, and then he went in a different direction. The ones that he originally bought are like the 4-footer with the 2 bulbs in it. So he brought 2 of those down and installed them around where I work. So that, and it's nice because they have an on-off switch in the cord. He can't reach it, but I can reach it. He wanted to know if he should leave the stepladder out there so I could turn them on and off. I said, no, I can reach them. So he got those up, and we didn't have enough plugins to do the light system. So we took another ground fault plug style where you can plug one into the inlet or one into the outlet, and then it gives you like 6 more to go with. So he installed that. We started getting some tools from the garage. He went up with a tote and come back with some sockets to start filling in the sockets, the socket draw, the 1/2 inch. And basically just working on reorganizational skills when it comes to the layout. And right now it's looking pretty good. We're going to finish it up today, like I say, and I'll get the video out for you from yesterday's of how far we have come. And I don't think there's a whole lot I can do today to have a video to finish it up, but it's going to make my life a heck of a lot easier when it comes to working on chainsaws, weed eaters, you know, even riding lawnmowers. But the thing is with riding lawnmowers and stuff, they won't fit through the door. And the only other option is to take out the bay windows that are right next to my desk and put in an overhead door. And I'm not willing to do that. That's quite an expense. Plus, I'm trying to sell the property as possible residential or commercial, either direction. And the way it is right now, out where my office is and the inventory and stuff, most of the inventory is the actual living quarters. Your kitchen, your living room, bedrooms, master bedroom, bathrooms, you know, are all out in that area. So I just don't keep that as a selling point. Hell, you never know, I may have to move in. And you, James, you were asking about the Kubota brand, because you were saying that over in your country, in Norway, that they're considered kind of a cheap brand. What is a good selling tractor in Norway? Because I know over here, you know, with a Kubota, you're going to pay good money for it. And the ones that we see here in the U.S., the ones I've seen, are pretty good quality. You know, the drawbacks to them are a lot like the John Deere's, is trying to find aftermarket parts companies that care much for these brands. So what you end up having to do is you have to go back to the Kubota dealer and order Kubota and pay Kubota price for their parts. But no, they're considered a pretty good brand. And, you know, I've seen actually this spring, last year, I went to an auction that had a 65 horse Kubota with a loader on it. And it had an enclosed cabin. It looked immaculate, but it had around 2,800 hours on it, which is a lot, but still is quite a bit. I mean, they used it quite a bit. And that ended up selling for, I think, $56,000 US. Not sure what the value would be where you're at. But new, that same tractor probably would have set you back around 80, 85. So I'm going to start wrapping this up a little shorter than normal for my videos, but that's pretty much all I can say on the Toolbox challenge. Like I say, I will have a video coming out today that I got to edit yet, where I take my GoPro, like I did when I first started this with the Toolbox, to kind of show the organizational things the way we had it. But on that note, you guys have a great Friday. I'll see you here bright and early Monday morning for our weekdays. And you never know what's going to happen on the weekends, what I might come up with, right? All right, guys. You guys have a great Friday and a great weekend.